Welcome to the Franchising 360 Show, the only show that takes you inside the world of franchising, with hosts Tim Parmeter and Danielle Wright.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Franchising 360 Show. I am Tim Parmeter, and alongside me, as always, is Danielle Wright.
That's me.
Here on the Franchising 360 Show, we are taking a 360-degree view of the franchising industry. We are going to help educate you on all of the things you need to think about to become a franchise owner. If so, what's the best one for you to own? How to succeed once you are a franchise owner. But we're also going to talk about how you can take that existing business and turn it into a franchise. All things and more here on the Franchising 360 Show. Danielle, what might we talk about tonight, do you think?
I don't know. There's lots of things to talk about.
How about franchising?
Okay.
So-
only because it's in the name. I mean,
Kind of makes sense. We a couple weeks ago, we talked about some kind of trendy industries that were really growing.
right? What's the operative word? Hot.
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 So now let's do that instead of industries. What are some of the markets and areas that we are seeing?
That's probably better, right? Like, where am I going to put these hot franchises if they're so hot?
A hot franchise in a hot market, guaranteed success.
Sure.
Not so much, but
Wrong word.
But no, there's and for different reasons for these different states and kind of areas that we're going to talk about.
Yeah, there's a lot of movement across the country.
Yes.
Moving from here, moving to there. I live in Florida, so there's
Yes.
a lot of like, hey, let's move to Florida. But really, lately, there's a lot of let's move out of Florida.
Yes.
Where are they going?
Yes.
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 This is. Are you listening?
Yes, I am. Yes, I know to smile and nod. Is kind of how that works.
Uh-huh.
But, no, and I think some of the other states that are on there are states you might think of like, oh, well, I see that state is growing, so that clearly makes sense. There's a couple on there that maybe you wouldn't have thought of as like our growth markets for people moving into.
Okay.
But are still.
Ooh, I'm surprised. Tell me more.
We will get to that.
Okay.
But first,
There's more.
dun dun dun, we have to start with everyone's favorite. What do we have? And I feel like I don't want to bring this back up, but I did just get one of these right, so I'm kind of on a roll.
Uh-huh.
So, franchise fun fact with Danielle. What you got?
Okay. Kind of in theme of where we are. Where is franchising exploding the most? And yes, we're right in the middle of it.
Earth. I'm not wrong. Were you trying to be more specific than that?
I really just
Is it
can't
a
with
city-
you.
I'm over
it.
a city
I'm
or a
done.
state?
Nope, we're done. The Southwest
Okay.
is projected to grow at 2.5%.
Okay.
And then the Southeast at 1.7%. So regions of the continental United States is what you were looking for.
You know what those two things have in common?
They're growing.
The word south. And
Yeah.
AKA not freezing cold.
Okay.
So,
But that's not the reason.
okay.
It's driven by business-friendly policies,
Okay.
lower cost of living, and population growth. So which state in those southern regions?
Texas.
Well, you cheated. I'm done.
Well, because you did kind of give a hint because we're kind of in the middle of it.
Well, it took you a minute to get there because you were like in the middle and then you're like,
I didn't know if we were going
Earth.
to the city
Like,
or
who gives
state.
Earth? Jeez.
City or state.
You're not so much fun at this anymore. I think I'm gonna call it something else.
Okay. But the moral of the story is south, southeast. We're going to get into more specifics of some of the regions and kind of the whys behind them. We're going to do that next here on the Franchising 360 Show. All right, folks, we are back on the Franchising 360 Show. Tim Parmeter alongside Danielle Wright. And Danielle, we are talking about, a couple weeks ago, we talked about some of the top industries from a growth perspective. Doesn't mean that you should own them, but sectors that are really growing. Today is some of the areas of the country that are really growing. Your fun fact was really Southeast, Southwest are two of the biggest ones, but and then I, of course, comment because it's, it's not freezing cold, but there were 12 states that were listed as some of the
Okay, go.
fastest growing ones. You ready?
Yeah.
So you had Southeast and Southwest, which was Texas, Florida, Georgia, Arizona, North Carolina. So all of those are Southeast or Southwest.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know exactly where we put Utah and Colorado.
Okay. I got
mountainish, right?
right.
But it wasn't just the warm weather places. Michigan, Maryland, and Ohio are also on that list.
Oh, okay.
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 And you have a little
You
surprise.
said 12, but that's 10. What are the other two?
My math might have been off.
Oh, okay.
You
were wrong for once.
No, because Michigan, Ohio, and Utah are expanding for other reasons. So it's really 10. My bad. So Michigan and Maryland, northern state, and Ohio, northern states. But you had a little your voice is like, oh, kind of surprised by those. Why is that?
For personal reasons.
Oh, okay.
It's not like, again, I'm a Florida girl, so anything north of the Mason-Dixon line is cold. So you say that, and I'm like, oh, those are cold. Like, I don't.
So it wasn't franchise specific. It was just
franchising specifically. Ohio is put that on the shelf over here for a second. But Maryland and Michigan are what we call registration states.
Right.
And for the viewers, there are a handful of states that really protect your rights as franchise owners. They review the documents. They kind of give you like a cheat sheet of what's really in them, what to be aware of. So they are what we call franchisee friendly.
Right.
So they're really holding the franchisor accountable to a lot of things. So because there's that regulation, franchisors don't always love those states, but franchisees are highly protected when you open a brand. So when we talk about whether or not you feel comfortable or there's fear or this, that, and the other, being in those states is kind of important because then they're making sure everything is level set for you as a potential owner in one of these brands.
Right.
I've read recently that Michigan has got favorable living costs, like the quality of life for those Michiganers is great. Same thing for Ohio. People are trying to beckon themselves back to the small town persona, and Ohio is known for that. I'm out on Maryland. I think I've maybe driven through Maryland. It's a small little state.
And you mentioned Michigan and Ohio, throw in Utah. Those three are on there because of the affordability to live there.
Oh, I know so many people. Like, we've got friends from Canada that have gone into Utah. You've got the exodus of California and Washington that are moving into the Idaho-Utah corridor.
Right.
Like, cost of living's great. People are there. The people that are living there are still employed with jobs that are making higher dollars, so they're now trying to find an investment piece. But the thing that aligns all of those markets is a community feature to it. Like, people are still looking to build a small community of friends and churchgoers and neighbors and all of these things that really is what powers small business, is that local community element.
And Michigan and Ohio are going to have that too, because again, it's the Midwestern, right, kind of community aspect of it. And then some of the affordability there is again kind of the post-pandemic stuff of once people could start living remotely or working remotely, they decided to live elsewhere. The influx in Florida, influx in Arizona from both the north and from California was huge, which now you're starting to see some of the people kind of getting back out of there.
As great as it is to live in the sunshiny states and the warm states, it's fun and all, it's expensive to live there. So it makes sense that they would be retreating back to where they came from.
How much, you've been on the franchisor side for 15 plus years in and out with different brands and that you've consulted for. How much goes into a franchise understanding a particular market? So let's say I'm in Ohio, I'm in Toledo, Ohio, right? And I'm talking to you as the franchisor. You can't possibly know my market. There's talk about kind of some of the things that are going in from a demographic perspective from a franchisor side of things to know these markets?
Yeah, so I would divide that into a couple of different categories, right? So depending upon how new the brand is or how sophisticated the brand is, they may or may not have done a lot of research into what makes an ideal market, right? We rely on the same data you're getting here, telling you like these are the hotter markets based on people moving, based on age, based on income. Those things matter to a franchise, right? You have to have some cash, you have to have some net worth. Like they really want, it's thing that they've never said in all the people that we've talked to here is how important having a local community already. We as Fran Coach, I don't think we say, hey, move, buy a business, start all these things. Like, don't make so many big life choices at the same time. The cool thing about living in some of those markets is like you've got your school community or you got your sports community, you got your church community, like kind of already having an in and then building a business is ideal.
Right.
And so from a franchise perspective, if you're pretty young in the grand scheme of things, they may not have done a lot of research. They know where it's worked in their specific market that one would assume, we know what assumptions do, but that if you find something that's very similar when you're saying where you're talking about, that's probably pretty similar to Topeka, Kansas, right? You're looking for what it is, the service you're delivering. Like we had moving, everybody's going to do it.
Right.
Everybody's going to do at least 2.75 times in their lifetime. So you could be anywhere. So it's just really a matter of the type of brand that you're looking to put somewhere. So more sophisticated brands really get it narrowed down to this is ground zero.
Right.
This is the ratio that you're going to get. Go and be fruitful.
And all of the franchises, newer or older, are then going to have different kind of software and suppliers of kind of the mapping software. I always feel like it's borderline creepy how much information franchisors really
They
can
really
have.
use a lot of the census data. So like you can go pull up the census data on Google. Like you could go to the US Census and pull up the census data. Don't, as a researcher of brands, yes, look at the franchise because they've done studies with their existing owners and those existing markets tied to revenue into the business, not profit, but revenue. Right. And then obviously compare that to the information that you're getting from the Census Bureau and other stuff about migratory patterns of non-bird type people like the, snowbirds. Right. What's funny about your list is North Carolina, I don't think, you can talk about this from Fran Coach and what I know from them, it's like Charlotte, North Carolina is like sold out for like
Franchise Central.
Everything. Yeah. And there was always a big question like why? Well, it's the middle point. People from the south that are tired of the heat go there, still get a little heat, close to the beach, get a little mountain, whatever. And then the people from the north, I get out of the freezing cold, I still get the 4 seasons, but I'm not sweating 7 months out of the year when I go further south. So it's really simplistic why certain markets have growth the way it does. We just overcomplicate it and thinking it's cool.
Yes. And so speaking of overcomplicating it, we're going to do that a little bit more on this when we come back here on the Franchising 360 show. Hey, we are back on the Franchising 360 show. Tim Parmeter with Danielle Wright. And we have been talking about some of the kind of hottest growing areas and states for franchise ownership and some of the reasons behind it. Talk about too, kind of from a standpoint of like, where do you think the job market is kind of falling into play for these particular areas being so good for franchise ownership?
Yeah, I think that the job market is unsettling, right? People are losing their jobs. I think we read about it. No matter what the jobs report says or whatever Congress says, like I know people that are without work that are looking for work. North Carolina has a lot of opportunity, right? And so one would say that's why you're getting a lot of interest to consider a franchise because I'm without a job for a period of time. I'm open to anything that says like I want to get back to work, which is like it just triggered something for me. It's like we talk about franchisees working in the day-to-day and doing that thing. I don't think there's an absence of people that want to work.
Right.
There is an absence of people that want to work that don't want to do it for free.
Right.
So I feel like there's something there to talk to people about how your business can be like your job and you can't take a paycheck and have that 2 weeks paycheck in your bank.
Right.
But some of these markets that you're talking about have high job satisfaction. People are happy with their lives. Like, people aren't really losing jobs. Maybe they're considering alternative methods in the event that they will lose their job. I mean, look at I think the biggest piece that people are not seeing, and maybe they are, good for them, the exit from the West Coast to where we're sitting here right now. Like, how many transplants are sitting in Texas, in Arizona, in Utah, because they have no tech job.
Right.
Their house is not valued at what it was. They've overpaid for real estate, so they may be stuck there, but they're trying to figure a way out. But like I said earlier, we generally tend to coach people, at least when I've been on the franchise side, you can only make so many big life changes at one time.
Yeah.
So we typically say if someone's lost a family member in the process, that's going to derail you a little bit. You're going to need to figure that out and then come back. Can you? Like, if you lost someone when you had a job, did you stop working?
No.
Did you take a couple days off?
Yes.
It's pretty much all you're allowed.
Yes.
Right.
Yep. And I think what's interesting is you bring that up. I've got a couple of our clients with Fran Coach right now, and one is we want to sell the house, find the new house, get the kids settled in school, then do this. Great. But literally 2 other people, and we started looking at brands, and it was weird because it was almost the same day. They're like, we don't want to live where we live anymore.
Right.
Right. And you think from a job standpoint, I don't want to live where I live. I want to apply for a job in another city or state, especially another state. That can be hard from a franchise standpoint. Like, franchisors aren't going to bat an eye. I'm like, yeah, we're available there. You want to live there. And so it kind of becomes that lifestyle piece of, I'm sick of the one couple in particular. I'm sick of working, right? I want out of there. And then we started looking at the franchise. It was literally like I was on a call one day, and they're like, we don't want to live here anymore. We want to live. This is where we want to go.
Well, and some people are so open to where that is. Like,
Yeah.
I don't care where I go, but it's when you fall in love with the thing and you're willing to go wherever the thing is going to take you.
Yes.
A lot of times in the job world, like, I got a job here and I'm moving to Wichita, then guess what? I got to move to Wichita.
The amount of random awful places I have moved for jobs in my past has been
some I don't even
been a little crazy, but it really happens. Again, it's part of that control you get from a franchise ownership standpoint. I mean, and I think there's the myth that a lot of the franchise owners are, 40s and 50-year-old folks that have been in the corporate world for a while, and which is a huge part of it. But there's so many more mid-20s into early 30s people that are doing this. And we had a couple last year. They literally were like, we've got these 4 markets. I'm here for a job. We don't like it at all. These are the 4 places we would like to look. And so we had a very broad search from that standpoint. And Life Things was taking a new job, starting a franchise, and wife found out she was pregnant. And we're like, do we want to do this? And his whole thing was like, no, let's knock all this stuff out at once.
Right.
And
you build from zero. Yeah.
And again, then it's now, I think from a community, you're talking about the community, maybe you don't have any experience there, you don't really know people, but are you wanting to get engaged in that new place and it's your home, then it's all going to be fine.
But you're making an assessment here, right? Like, age does have something to do with it. I don't want anyone to think, like, going into a franchise, like, I have to be this age or I have to be that age.
Right.
The reality is, do you have the money or the ability to access money? And do you have the stamina and the will to work as hard as you would have to in that situation? The work is the work. You're still going to do the work. You're just probably going to do a little bit more than what you thought if you were here, or here. If you are already established, already in a market, come to find out, I think that's harder. Because now you already have a reputation of one thing, and now I'm going to go out and tell everybody, what if it fails? What if they, like, look at the business as, ooh, you're picking up dog poo? Like, why? Like, you were doing this over here. You were so successful. And there's all of those conversations that are occurring at any one time.
We had a gentleman years ago in the Philadelphia market and was looking at a franchise we both really like. They do outdoor lighting.
Oh, yeah.
And so one, he was like,
I love that business.
It's outdoors, it's Philadelphia, it's not cool enough. And like, he was like, I'm bougie. Like and he kept going.
He used the word bougie?
He used the word bougie, and he kept going into the process more and more. And then he saw how like he could be in the community and it was something he could be proud of.
Yeah.
Right. And so again, just sometimes a little openness in that is what you think you're going to be proud of or would enjoy doing. What it ends up being is usually something totally different.
You generally find if you're like have got the life that you want to live, like I can do the things I want to do as simply as I can go to the doctor, and when the doctor is running 2 hours late, I'm okay with it because it's not impeding on anything else I got to do.
Yeah.
Like you take your time, doc, take as many people as you want in front of me. But I think that ties to where we've started, right? Like, why are these the growth markets? Because they're desirable places for people to live.
Right.
They still sit kind of fundamentally in like community-based space where we support our neighbors and we show up and we bring the banana pudding, right? Those are the markets that people are now, like there was this whole let's go out and be this, and now the age demographic is kind of pulling itself back to like, I need my circle of people and I need that comfort. And most of those markets that you listed are markets that are historically known for building that interior support.
And if you are going to own a franchise because you want control over all the things in your life, why not it be where you live as well? Right. And so anyway, so that's a little bit of not just the hot markets, but again, kind of some of the why behind it. And
if you're not in that market and you want to go to that market, let's talk. If you are open to market, let's really talk, because then let's find the thing that you love and see if you can put that there in the place that you're going to love.
Absolutely. And then we'll help you connect with a moving franchise that can help you get everything.
We're all about building the community.
It is all about that. So anyway, that's just kind of giving you a handle on not just the hottest markets, but again, a sense of how that can play out to you to create this amazing path as a franchise owner.
Yeah.
So, that is Danielle Wright. I am Tim Parmeter. Thanks again, as always, for tuning into the Franchising 360.
Thanks again for watching the Franchising 360 show, brought to you by Fran Coach. Danielle and I hope these episodes continue to educate you on the franchise industry. In between our episodes, if you would like to learn more about franchising and the ways in which Fran Coach can help, there are a few places you should check out. First, be sure to listen to the award-winning Franchising 101 podcast. You can find this on Spotify or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Next, check out the Fran Coach YouTube channel, Fran Coach for You. You can catch past episodes of the Franchising 360 show, plus tons of other content. If you like to read, we encourage you to check out the book, Becoming a Franchise Owner. And finally, when you are ready to take that first personalized step and explore franchise industry further, please reach out to our amazing team at Fran Coach. There is never any fee for our service, so let us help you create your better tomorrow. Until next week, for Danielle Wright, I'm Tim Parmeter. Thanks for tuning in to the Franchising 360 show.